This is Slasher here at Valve's Dota 2 Championships at the International, and I'm here with Dignitas Aoi to talk to us about the event. They got knocked out by Orange earlier in the tournament. Aoi, let's start with the preliminary event before the playoffs this week. You were so close to making to the winner's bracket, but then the very last day you got knocked down. You weren't able to go through. Do you think that that was one of the big reasons that you had a tough time here at TI3?
No, I think that our loser bracket was actually easier for us than going to winner bracket, because the winner bracket would have put us against Alliance and MT Liquid, which, well, we were fine versus, okay, I don't think we would have had a good chance versus Alliance. They're obviously one of the probably top 3-4 teams, maybe top 2 or top 1, depending on how people look at it. But we wouldn't want to play Liquid because, USA. You need to diverge and, conquer. But our bracket, I think that we're in a very good position. We didn't lose because we're in the loser bracket. We lost because we outpicked them, we out-strategized them, and then we misplayed. So it's just we screwed up and we lost.
So now you say that, what were the things you think that most hurt you in your games against Orange?
I think that people didn't cast their items and spells properly in some of the engagements. And it wasn't like our ordinary crisp play, I think. There's a lot of pressure on the stage, obviously, and stuff happens. And I guess being a loser bracket does mean it's best of 1, which is sort of unfortunate because a lot of times you don't get to show your play or your unorthodox drafts that might help you snag a game in a best of 3. You don't want to risk that in a best of 1, so that hurt.
Now you talk about being on stage. You think that nerves had a big play in the game?
I mean, it depends on the person. For me personally, I don't think that nerves are really ever an issue. I don't think that they affected me at all at this tournament. But I know that at my first LAN tournament at ESWC, I was pretty nervous and I did make a few mistakes, even just missing a couple of creeps because the mouse sensitivity is a bit off compared to what you're used to at home. I mean, Valve has done a way over the top great job with that because they give you your own hard drive with your mouse speed and everything on it, so you can as close to mimic your home settings, but it's still a little bit different somehow. It's just the chair or it's a bit different.
Now you do mention best of 3. Do you think the losers bracket was also best of 3 that you would have had a better chance of going through?
Yeah, I do, because in both of the games that we played in a loser bracket, I feel actually in every game that we would have played versus those teams, I feel we would have out-drafted them and out-strategized them. And then we just had to wait for our play to kick in, because once you've won the draft and strategy, then it's not too hard to win a game. Even if perhaps they were better players than us that day, we still could have won.
Now, of course, you guys didn't make it to where you wanted to, of course, winning the National 3. Are you satisfied at all with the results so far this weekend?
Well, we placed 9th to 12th, which is the same as last place because we don't get any money. So I was pretty pissed. Actually, right after we lost, it was sort of just numb. I walked out of the booth and I went to shake their hands. I was just numb. There's no anger, no nothing. And then after that, it's not so much anger. It's just sort of frustration because I think we all knew that we were a better team than what we showed. And I don't know. We'll see. If anything, it's just I really want to go TI4 and do really well in that. And I'm going to do my best to do that.
Now, you mentioned the prize money. You did get, of course, you got nothing. One of the possible main concerns from the teams and players going into this weekend is that the prize distribution was only in the top 8 teams. I did talk to LGD International yesterday, and although they got the same spot as you, they were actually okay with not getting any money. Are you upset that only the top 8 teams were getting prize money?
I mean, if we lose this early, we don't really deserve it. And you don't want to make it just a charity because, I don't know, I want to use TI2 as an example where you had a team I don't want to pick on them, but M5 who sort of came here just as a vacation. I don't think they had any plans of winning a tournament. And because the invites are done sort of relatively early, and any gaming scene sort of changes pretty rapidly, you don't want to give a team a free ride to some money. So I'm fine with top only the higher ranked teams getting some money, but I mean, might sound a bit biased because we placed 9 to 12, but I think top 12 is fine to spread out a bit more because once you get to 1 million for first place, I don't really think you need more. It's not oh, there's 1 million. I'm not going to try as hard as if it was 1.2 million, right? There's not really a difference there. Whereas if you do top 12, you're eliminating the 4 teams who, as a sort of a redundancy layer, those teams who aren't really competing, they're just there, and you're still trying to help sustain the scene for the rest of the teams. But honestly, I'm not too upset at all with top 8. So.
Now, you mentioned practicing really hard and wanting to come here next year for TI4, but does that also illustrate there's a problem currently in the Dota community and scene where you have to focus all your attention on the one tournament all year round and that there aren't enough filler events in the middle?
I don't think that Dota has ever suffered from not enough events. I mean, the reason that TI is such a huge portion of the prize pool isn't because the other events aren't there. It's because TI is just so ridiculously big. Like when you have 2.8 million, it's sort of absurd to ask for something like, oh, we want that 2.8 million to only be a quarter of the total prize pool for the year. Like, so I'm completely fine with it. And TI, I think, more than a tournament, it's also like a marketing ploy and a way to reward the players from Vo's eyes. And having a big tournament like that, I think it's the best way for like sponsors and new sponsors and like a new market to come into Dota. So I actually really like the idea of TI. I'm pretty sure that Dota prize money is relatively high in esports compared to other games that have like a game maker sponsor tournament like WCS or LCS. So I'm completely fine with the Dota scene as how it is. I would like maybe more lands in North America because there are none right now other than TI. But yeah.
Now, I've been asking other players how they feel about Valve's one event a year with a ton of prize money compared to the Blizzard's WCS and Riot's LCS. Would you rather have a year-long competition with an entire league, or would you rather it be one big event where you can all focus on anyone can win?
Well, as I previously said, I think their purpose for the one event is more of a marketing thing. I think this has more oomph to it, right? Like, 5 days, 2.8 million. That's very attention-grabbing. But as a player, I think it's a lot easier and more sustainable to like the Riot approach, right? They have salaries, they have a team house stipend, like everything is sort of, they're taken care of even if they're not placing in the prize money. And then when you have so much prize money in one event, it is sort of like, if you don't do well, then you're not making enough to sustain a reasonable living or something like that. But as it seems, like Dota's just come out of beta, so, and it'll still be growing. And I know Valve has plans to make it more sustainable for pros that are not necessarily directly from Valve. I've heard like, I haven't really heard this directly from Valve, but from other people, just like perhaps like subscribing to a pro so you can watch his games through the client, stuff like that, or like coaching through the client, stuff that will like make it a lot easier for pros to live off this game while not necessarily putting all the burden on Valve, because you want like a sustainable game, I think. You don't want it to be completely reliant on the developer.
Now, is this something that you want, or would you just want more prize money to be able to win?
Well, I definitely want it to be more sustainable. I mean, I think prize money will always be going up as the game is more popular, so I don't think we have to worry about that. It's more being able to build a scene, because right now, especially the North American scene, is just not as big as every other scene. Like, they showed a statistic in the, I can't remember if it was at, I saw it on Reddit, I think, where the United States only has 1% more players than Ukraine. And as like a per capita thing, that's absurd. Like, Ukraine is so small compared to the States, I'm pretty sure. I don't know my geography that well, but like United States, big country, you know, best marketing, best mind power, I think, per person. So I would like the game to grow a lot.
Now, when coming in this event, I was talking about how the North American and European teams are closer to the Chinese teams that they've ever been. You have Alliance and Na'Vi in the women's bracket finals. But it almost seems like Europe might be more ahead of North America. Do you believe that North America is right there with Europe? And what do you think the main issues are? Is it because there just aren't as many players as Europe does?
I mean, last year it wasn't that far apart either. Instead of just looking at the results, you actually watch the games. Like, Complexity and EG probably should have both placed in the money, knocking out Chinese teams. And it's sort of the same thing this year. I think that Liquid should have gone another round, and we should have gone another round or two. So I don't think the disparity is that big. But then you do have like the huge teams like Na'Vi, Alliance. I don't think any North American team or Chinese team really can compare to them at this moment.
What is the difference? Why can't the North American scene at least get to that same top tier level as those two?
I mean, it's sort of like a infrastructural difference, I think, because the Dota 1 scene, there was nothing in North America. Like, the biggest prize pool in North America was a $500 weekend cup, I think, because I played a bit of Dota 1. That was all we had. whereas Europe had probably three tournaments a year. I'm not too sure, but they had enough that a player like Dendi could grow up in Dota 1 and continue to Dota 2, whereas North America never really had that. And since we didn't have any prize money or any like reason to organize in Dota 1, you see a lot of the players, they're not really, I want to call them not really team players in the North American scene, and then it takes a while for those people to grow or for people to mature into team players, I think. So they just have better infrastructure and, well, I guess a larger player base just helps, right? Bigger pool, sample pool.
Lastly, I see your girlfriend made you a really awesome Dignitas head. I'm sure Odie will be really happy about this. How did she make this? Tell me a little bit about it.
I think she just sold it, and she kept telling me, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing something. I didn't know what she was doing, but then she gave this to me while we were boot camping for TI, and it was really awesome. And unfortunately, we couldn't do it justice and win something, but it was really sweet. And his name's Edgar. I forgot it once in an interview, and she got mad at me, so.
I think that happens to all of us. I wouldn't worry about it. Thank you, Ali, for the interview, and good luck in the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to GameSpot.com/esports for coverage all weekend long of the International 3.